What's up? Hello and welcome to the Weekenders. This is the show where we talk about the biggest games of the weekend, and boy, do we have some big games to talk about. So, not even gonna really do the preamble here. Let's just get into it because we have a lot to talk about. Bobby, Lexi, good to see you again today.
As always.
Yeah, another chunk of like football to talk about and a lot of things to break down. Let's start with the NFL first. Um, so we've had a couple weeks now to see some games, see some good and some bad and some ugly. Um, we've got a few 2-0 teams and a few 0-2 teams. Let me pull up the standings real quick because I meant to list them out to make it easier. But the question that we're going to start off with in the NFL is which 2-0 teams do you think? Oh, sorry, pick one 2-0 team that you think is a little bit fraudulent and may miss the playoffs, and then pick one 0-2 team that you think will make the playoffs. And whoever
So I
wants to
think
go
out of all
first.
the 2-0 teams, I think Washington is gonna miss the playoffs. And it's not really any kind of dig at them, but just the rest of the 2-0 teams, I don't see falling short of that. So and then for 0-2 teams to make it, oh gosh. Who was I even thinking? The Chargers are 0-2. That's who I wanted to go with. I think that they'll still pull it out. Justin will get it together for the season, and they'll go ahead and make it. So,
Real quick for the audience, the 2-0 teams are the Falcons, Ravens, Cowboys, Dolphins, Saints, Eagles, Niners, Bucks, and Commanders. And the 0-2 teams are the Cardinals, Panthers, Bears, Bengals, Broncos, Texans, Chargers, Vikings, and Patriots. Uh, Bobby, you want to go next?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the clear imposter, I feel like, of the 2-0 teams is the Commanders. Not that and again, I don't want to trash them, but if you had to look at one of them that is a little weaker than the other, that really probably won't make the playoffs due to their really, really tough division, due to, a number of factors, it's definitely Washington. I think that's just going to be a little too much if I had to pick one team. So the Commanders there. And then 0-2, give me the Bengals. I know they look awful, and Joe Burrow doesn't look like himself ever since he got the that massive deal. But you just know that firepower is still there. You feel like they can wake up a little bit. I feel like them and the Chargers are very similar in that aspect of that. There's a lot of firepower there. There's a lot of talent there. Even though since he's looked awful, I feel like they can put it together and figure it out.
yeah, there's definitely a lot of talent on offense for them, so it's possible.
So for me, the 2-0 team that I think will miss the playoffs is the Falcons. Now, the NFC South is not a hard division, but we see how the Buccaneers are playing well. The Saints have a really good defense, and Derek Carr, I think, can do enough to keep the Falcons from winning the division or, making the playoffs. The thing about the Falcons is I give a lot of credit to them for finding ways to win games. Really, the Panthers gave away the game in week one because Bryce Young threw two picks and fumbled the ball. So you're not going to win a game when you're -3 on turnover ratio, no matter who you are. But Desmond Ritter is terrible. He is really, really bad. And at this point, their offense is give the ball to Bijan Robinson and, and try to get the ball to Jake London and Kyle Pitts. But I don't see the Desmond, maybe they make a trade or something in the midseason and it gets a little better for them or something. But I can't imagine that Desmond Ritter is going to be able to carry them through the season and into the playoffs. He really, really sucks. It's really bad. So I have to pick on the Falcons as my 2-0 fraudulent team to miss the playoffs, and then to make the playoffs. You guys know I'm a big Chargers believer. I had Justin Herbert being MVP this year. I think they can figure it out. The Bengals answer I like, but I'm actually going to go with the Texans. they're 0-2, but CJ Stroud has looked really good. Their division is a little easier. It's I mean, we'll see what happens with the Titans and the Jags, but I think I wouldn't be surprised if the Texans turned it around and started kind of figuring out how to win. Because CJ Stroud has looked really, really good. So I'll go with that. That's my answer. All right, on to college football fraud watch. A lot of big games this weekend. A lot of ranked teams trying to protect their status as we get into some conference play now. So uh, I'm gonna name some teams, and I want you guys to tell me who the biggest threat is to lose their game this weekend. Um, Penn State, UNC, Florida State, Oklahoma, LSU, Texas, or Washington. Bobby, who's on a fraud watch for you?
Well, I think it's tricky because I feel like of the people or of the teams in that group, Florida State definitely is most likely to do it. Clemson is still a very, very solid team that can figure it out in a way. And as we saw with FSU last week, almost, struggling and losing to Boston College, you never really know with them. So if I had to pick a team, it'd be FSU, but I don't necessarily know if that would be your typical, ranked, unranked upset. If I had to go with a team that I would beat, two teams that I'm actually kind of relatively worried about of that bunch, I hate to say it, I think it would be OU and Texas, just because of their environments. Baylor playing, Texas in their last game for the foreseeable future. Cincinnati opening the Big 12 up, their entire new era up, at home against Oklahoma. That's a massive game for them. And, as OU and Texas fans are well aware of, Big 12 refs and Big 12 officiating hasn't exactly been kind to them since they announced their intentions to leave the conference. So there's always a little bit of funk going on whenever OU and Texas are involved in a Big 12 game. And I wouldn't be shocked to see either of those teams get upset in either of those scenarios. So we want to go with a proper fraud watch. I could see either of those teams slipping. But overall, the team most likely to lose, Florida State.
All right, Lexi, who's your most likely to lose / fraud watch candidate? Again, we got Penn State, who's playing Iowa, UNC going to Pitt this weekend, FSU going to Clemson, Oklahoma at Cincinnati, LSU hosts, I forgot, LSU host an SEC team that I can't remember right now.
Arkansas.
Here we go. Texas is going to play Baylor, and Washington. I also forgot their game, but they'll play Cal, who's 2-1.
Cal,
yeah. They're hosting Cal, who's 2-1. So you never know. Could be spicy, but
the one loss wasn't bad. Like they're pretty close with Auburn.
Close loss to Auburn, but no. Lexi, go ahead. Who's on fire watch for you?
Yeah, Washington is definitely not on that list out of everyone that you labeled me. I think they're dominant right now. But as much as I've loved Texas and how they're playing, I know that they have struggled with Baylor. It's, going to Baylor. I really see that being kind of like an exposing moment, a game that they definitely can drop in the schedule that they have. So that's going to be, I don't necessarily call them frauds, but I think that could be an upset. A little bit of fraudulent is definitely FSU, especially after this past weekend. So, I think that they can lose. And like you said, Clemson's still a really good team. So it's not like, they should be going in there thinking that they're going to be winning or anything like that so easily. But I'm looking for Texas to get upset this weekend, though.
Yeah, I think Texas is a good candidate for an upset, just again going to Baylor. Like everyone has said, I think the big obvious answer will probably be Florida State. Going to, having to go to Clemson, and Clemson did lose to Duke, but they're a tough team. I don't think people would necessarily even look at Florida State as a fraud if it was a close loss or something. So that's one that everyone's going to be looking at. But I'm going to go ahead and give my fraud watch to Penn State. Iowa, has done enough to be ranked in the top 25. Um, Penn State is on a roll. They're getting so much hype about this being a good team. Drew Aller on that offense, and we know that Iowa plays tough. They're in the mud, type team, defensive team. This is as Big Ten of a matchup as it gets. So if I'm Penn State fans, I'm like, hopefully everyone's taking this game seriously and not overlooking them, and yeah, I think Penn State definitely can prove a lot by handling this Iowa team. I think it shouldn't be that hard because it's like Drew Aller and that offense is playing so well. You have K McNamara on the other side, and Iowa's not like an explosive offense or anything like that. But yeah, give me Penn State, who's on as my front watch.
I was curious because I could see that too, and then I saw that it was a whiteout game, and I'm like, God, it's like so hard to play in a whiteout. But if anyone can do it, like it would be that stout of a type Indiana, Jesus, Iowa defense, So I think that, but I was actually looking up the record, and they're 10-8 in whiteout games, and I'm like, wait, why do they always seem so hard to win there? But yeah, so it's pretty even actually since they started these.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. That should be a really good game. One of many good games. Which let's talk about some today because there was a lot to choose from. Hard to really to pick with both NFL and college football. But let's start with Colorado at Oregon. Colorado, what a win last weekend against Colorado State. Like, that was absolutely insane. I remember Colorado State, I think, might have went up a couple scores in the either late third or early fourth quarter or mid fourth quarter. And I remember tweeting out, yeah, that might be the game for Colorado. And then, like, for them to come back the way they did, like, phenomenal. I feel sorry for everyone who had to stay until 2 a.m. to see that game be over. Thankfully, like, I was thanking my lucky stars that I was on that I'm on the West Coast for that game. But man, what a crazy game! Colorado's been phenomenal this year. They're already at 3 wins. Their Vegas win total was 3.5. So some people are about to win a lot of money if they took the Colorado over. But yeah, we all have heard all week about how the win was big. Shador Sanders was in Brady mode, played phenomenal, yada yada yada. Unfortunately, Travis Hunter will be out for it looks like 3 or 4 weeks with the injury he suffered. I think it was a lacerated liver.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Oh.
never good when an organ is lacerated. So yeah, that's gonna be a tough one, but
Yeah, that's the least fun way to get liver damage.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, tough situation for them because they have to now go to Oregon to Autzen. Oregon's favored by 21 in this game. The over under is a whopping 71.5. Absolutely insane. But talk about like the absence of Travis Hunter going into a environment like that against a quarterback like Bo Nix, who's playing so well and so experienced. Travis Hunter, this is one of those games we talked about a couple of weeks ago when we talked about him playing both sides. Like, obviously, you're missing a good receiver, but where you really want him is, in the secondary, like against a quarterback like Bo Nix. And so, yeah, what do you guys think that the impact of him missing is going to be for Colorado? They have a tough challenge.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be really hard for them. Like, we already have been talking about it, and everyone knows their schedule is very difficult. So to lose a key player, I mean, sure, you still got Shadur out there, but like he like can't. I'm sad for them because I feel like that was like one of the biggest key pieces in preventing a team like Oregon for running up the score like 50, 60 points, So I'm hoping they can come together and get through it. But it's a big loss, and like you said, it's more so on the defensive side than the offense. Like they still got some good players on their offense where I think they can still score points. I'm not worried about them not being able to score because they've got an incredible quarterback that, as the season goes on, will know how to make plays and score those points. But to take that hit on the defense is really hard, especially when you're going to be facing these top 25 teams all throughout the season. So luckily it's only 3 to 4 games, not the entire season, but they're going to be struggling a little bit. It'll be a huge test for them, to not hopefully lose by a lot, if at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's defensively devastating. What can you say about like Hunter's ability on defense? There aren't a lot of Travis Hunters out there in general on any team, if any at all. So competitive depth wise, losing that for Colorado, I mean, it's a pretty big blow. And let's be real, they needed him if they wanted any chance to win this game. Now we've been wrong on Colorado before. I certainly have, and I'm not saying so. But let's be honest, the depth just takes a huge hit with Hunter. I think Shedeur Sanders has enough firepower. That offense has enough firepower to really put up a ton of numbers on a Oregon team that we've seen tested already against Texas Tech. It's going to be a fun shootout, but I just don't. I think defensively that's just such a blow that I don't really know if they'll be able to recover.
Yeah, I had to look at their schedule, but I believe, it impacts them because he misses this game, and if I'm not mistaken, he's not out there for USC either. So,
Correct.
That's two really good quarterbacks that, he won't be there for USC. So that's two really good quarterbacks since you don't have like a 5-star cornerback for in the secondary. Like that's going to be tough for the Buffaloes to overcome. All right, so I think Oregon's a tough team to play at home. We've seen Oregon, be phenomenal. We've also seen them play down the competition a little bit, especially in this Bo Nix era. So for me, 21-point spread is big for me. Like with everything we've seen with this Colorado team, granted, this Oregon's probably going to be the best team they face so far. But to me, 21's a lot of points, and that's why I'm taking. Well, I'll get to that later. My lock later. But who's more likely to cover the spread, Oregon or Colorado?
Here's my thing. I get being afraid about Travis Hunter being out. I wouldn't take Colorado to win this ball game, but 21 is a lot. Colorado has enough horses to keep this thing close, and I will say if they do keep it close, I don't think it'll be because Oregon will be playing down to them. Colorado has everybody in the country's attention. Just look at the TV numbers that a night game, a late night Pacific start time game that featured a team that was favored to win by 21, 28. What that did. The TV numbers were unreal. Everybody has a massive target on Colorado and Coach Prime. We believe, we're awake about it. We know that they're good. So does Oregon. And I tell you what, the Ducks are going to be fired up, and they're going to be trying to beat the hell out of the Buffaloes. The message is clear. Colorado is here. They aren't coming. They took like a week to come. They are here. But I think if I had to pick a team to cover the spread, it's going to be the Buffaloes. 21's too much. I feel like this thing turns into a shootout, a total track meet, in honor of Phil Knight, of course, track guy himself. So yeah, no, I think this thing is going to be electric. It's must-see TV. And yeah, look, I'll say this. Take Colorado plus 21, get that popcorn ready.
Yeah, I got the same. I mean, I don't think that Dion even, will put enough faith in his guys and like amp them up enough that they're not going to lose by that. Like you said, 3 touchdowns is a lot. And I mean, if this was like a team like Colorado State or whatever, like, you'd think like, oh, no problem. But I don't see Colorado losing by that much, even without Travis out. So I'd say that Colorado will.
Yeah, I mean, not to spoil my lock of the week, but Colorado plus 21, I think is like a easy call because I just don't like Deion Sanders. I mean, it's just not even like talent for talent, but we saw in the Colorado State game, like I think Colorado was favored by like 20 plus points, right? Um, the fact that that game was so close showed me how well coached Colorado State is. And I think in the same vein with Colorado, teams that are coached with pride and toughness and physicality, and Colorado's like a little finesse, but still like they're really well coached, and that's easy to tell. And so I think that teams like that, even if they're less talented, normally don't get blown out. Like, and we saw that with the TCU game. You know, tough environment. They came to play. It was a close game. I just can't. I'm going to agree with you guys. I'll go and say it's my lock of the week. I cannot imagine Colorado losing by 3 scores. They're just too well coached. Shador's too talented. I am with Bobby that it's more likely to be a track meet type game than a blowout. Like I just don't see them losing by 21 points. It's way too much for me. Um, all right, let's do keys to victory. Um, what are the keys to uh, Oregon getting the win? Anybody? I'll let anybody jump in on that.
I can hop in on that. Um, I think what you got to do is you got to turn over Shador Sanders early and often, because the most dangerous Colorado is when they're comfortable, when they're confident, when they're playing their game. And if you can get to them early, hit them hard, get them to turn the ball over, just make that team not confident. If you can take away their biggest strength, which is their confidence, their swagger, their entire energy, by just overwhelming them with the Autzen Stadium crowd, overwhelming them with your physicality, then I feel like you can get out to a big lead and really separate yourself, because the offense, Bo Nix, he's gonna do his thing. um, that's going to be fine. But defensively, you got to stop that Colorado offense from really rolling and getting comfortable, and just clicking like we've seen them click the entire season.
I'll I'll also add that the Colorado in the last couple games has started really slow, particularly in the first half. So if you're Oregon, I would say like one key to victory is to take advantage of Colorado's slow start. If it's a trend that they have slow starts in the first half, Oregon needs to put points to the board. Make sure they go into halftime with, a good lead, and in the second half, like they're gonna Colorado's gonna come out fighting, but you got to keep staying aggressive, keep moving the ball down the field on them. Travis Hunter's out, so take advantage of that matchup, and I think that's how Oregon wins. Lexi, what about Colorado? How do they get a victory?
You know, especially without Travis Hunter, it's really just trying to keep Bo Nix as contained as possible for the defense. Make them fight as much as they can for basically every play. Wear them out when you can, because I just feel like it's going to be so overwhelming with that I mean they could let this slip. So it's containing the ground play in the air. Just it's all over defense. Just don't let them go off, and you got to play your best game against them. That's just really how it is. And then just for Colorado, just keeping, the offense high, constantly making those big plays, get the ball going on the ground. That's just going to be how they can even stay in this game and not lose by 21 points or more. But, it's going to be containing Bo Nix in that offense, in the end overall.
100%. All right, let's get into our predictions for this game. Like I said earlier, I've got Colorado covering the spread. I think Colorado 21 is a plus 21 is a good call, but I think Oregon wins the game. Oregon's at home, too talented. They have a lot to play for. Last year in the Pac-12, you have a path to making the playoff. Colorado is a good team, but they're more happy to be there, and Oregon has aspirations of winning a natty. So I think you got to win this game. You can't. This is not a game you can mess around with. I think Oregon, the Ducks come out hot, and yeah, Colorado. I got you covering, but not getting the dub, unfortunately.
Yeah, the Buffs are too talented to let this thing go crazy. They cover the 21, but the Ducks just a little too good right now for where Colorado is.
Oregon winning too, but I can't help but just root for them and Dion this season. So I hope they can find a way to magically pull off this win because it'd be insane.
Yeah, Colorado winning would be crazy for the narratives, right? But
yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's a clean sweep. We got Oregon winning the game on that one. Crazy that the over-under is 71.5. That's a big number, too. All right. Next game. Lexi's favorite teams face off.
Can they both lose? Is this possible, please?
Ohio State and Notre Dame. We have a good game, folks. Ohio State's favored by 3 on the road, and Notre Dame at night. Ohio State is ranked 6th. Notre Dame is ranked 9th. Notre Dame obviously is looking really good with the addition of Sam Hartman. The offense is humming. Haven't played a tough opponent yet, but NC State was okay, but this is obviously going to be a huge challenge hosting Ohio State. Notre Dame, very much like Oregon, they have, CFP aspirations. Obviously, Ohio State has CFP aspirations. So these are two teams that are looking to be in the Final Four at the end of the year. And a loss here would be tough for both sides. But somebody has to win, somebody has to lose. But before we get into that, from my first question for the panel, Lexi, I'll let you go first. Who is the most important player in this game?
Oh man, I'm just gonna say right now it's probably gonna be like Kyle McCord. Especially because they just kind of established the starting quarterback. He went off last week, and in a huge way, which I'm like, oh God, I want to please don't make this happen all over again. But no, it's definitely going to be him. You're going to be on the road. It's your first big game of your career. He's going to be one of the biggest factors in this game. I think that he's going to do well too, but it's a hell of a matchup, especially on the slate that already is for this weekend. So I'm really excited for it. But Kyle McCord for me in this game.
Yeah, it's absolutely Kyle McCord. That is correct. It's not his first road game ever, but let's just be honest. South Bend, Indiana is a lot different from Bloomington, Indiana. It's a big difference there in terms of environment. And, Notre Dame-wise, this is probably one of their biggest home games in recent memory. It's not every day the Buckeyes come to town. It's going to be rocking. It's going to be massive for a freshman quarterback to go into that environment. You got to play big. So I think a lot of what Ohio State does offensively hinges on him. Last time out we saw him in that Indiana situation. Not great. But I don't know. He's got to grow up fast. So definitely, I think it falls all on McCord. Best player, Sam Hartman's going to have to go off, of course, but at this point, you know what you're going to get. You know he plays big in big moments. But the freshman, not sure about that yet. So we'll see.
Yeah, the funny thing is, this is McCord's like second trip to Indiana because they played Indiana earlier at Indiana. Now they got to go back to South Bend and play Notre Dame. Um, yeah, I have to agree with McCord as the most important player. I mean, just for the sake of argument, we could say Sam Hartman has played in big games, but at Wake Forest, they were never truly, um, ACC championship contenders, let alone um, contenders for the CFP. So, the stakes are high at Notre Dame. Their expectations are high. Probably the last year for him being a starting quarterback in the college football. So, if he wants to uh, leave out on a high note and and take Notre Dame to the championship, he's got to win games like this. He's got to beat Ohio State because for Notre Dame, like this isn't the only big game of their schedule. He's going to have to win this game. He's going to have to beat USC. They're going to have to go to Duke. They're going to have to go to Clemson. He's going to have to beat his old team in Winston-Salem or Wake Forest, or his old team Wake Forest at Notre Dame. So he has more big games ahead of him. This is just the first one. And, again, high expectations are on South Bend. Like, as always, they have high standards. And Sam Hartman is going to have to, pull it together, do what he can to will his team to win this game because this is just one of many dominoes that they're going to have to topple if Notre Dame wants to sniff a chance in the CFP. All right. Which team needs this win more? Probably just answered it for everyone, like, to be honest. But go ahead. Go, Lexi.
Yeah. So I think Ryan Day needs this win like he needs the air to breathe, especially with what's been going on with Michigan these last few years. The questions of is he, failing this program? What's going to happen? Yes, I know Marcus Freeman, this would be a great win for him, but Ryan Day is going to be on the hot seat if he's not at least undefeated, I feel like, going into Columbus. And, there's going to be a lot of eyes on him for this game. So, and same thing with the Buckeyes and their fan base. They need this win so bad or they're going to go crazy. But I could say it for both sides, but Ryan Day and the Buckeyes need this, especially with, matching up with Michigan and wanting to get into the college football playoffs. They've got to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's tight. Both are massive, massive fan bases, intense to the nth degree, but it comes down to Ohio State. What they need. They are entering every season where it's national championship or bust. It's not making the playoff. It's not enough. They have to be in that national championship. Not if not conversation, they have to be like right there in that game. They have to win a playoff game. That is what the Buckeye fan base expects. Is it right? I don't know. Kind of a reset for them, but ultimately, you really get one mulligan, and you're probably safe. If you lose in South Bend, and then have to find a way to just dig your way out of that, just pit that you've buried yourself in Ann Arbor. That's a bad, stressful position to be in because if they lose 2 times and don't make the Big Ten championship, that there is no college football playoff going on for the Bucks. So the pressure's on for Ohio State to really be perfect up until the game because they can get away with losing to Michigan. But let's be honest, like that. I'm going to go out and say it. The game might be the least important game for for Ohio State. If they just win out, if they win out, that game doesn't matter. They're getting in the playoff. One loss to Ohio State, not getting left out of the playoff. So yeah, it's one of those situations where every game matters, but that one, which is kind of the hardest one to do, because they can't figure out Harbaugh. So you got to take care of business against Notre Dame.
Yeah, I think like Lexi mentioned, at Ohio State, if they lose, there's a more vitriol, more criticism. Right, it might cost Ryan Day his job. But I think if we're talking about, all right, two CFP contenders, mathematically, who needs it more? It's Notre Dame, without question. For Ohio State, like Bobby said, you can have one loss run the table, and the way the SEC looks, the committee might be like, well, this is a good Ohio State team. They took care of Penn State at home. They went to Michigan and won. Like, this is September, so we know how short memory works. Like, they could get curb stomped in South Bend, and by late November, folks are already like acting like it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? By the time we get to like committee rankings and stuff, so I think this is a spot if you're Ohio State, you can lose and possibly still have a great argument at the end of the year because again, you still have a couple big games in front of you. You can win. Not to mention, you may not have to necessarily worry about the SEC kind of getting in your way down the road. Um, and so that could be your way there. For Notre Dame, like I just kind of explained in our last point, you have so many other tough opponents ahead of you, and you're independent. So you don't have a conference championship to win. You have you have nothing to convince the committee that you deserve to be a one of the Final Four teams if you lose to a top 16 at your home soil. Like, Duke's good, but winning there probably isn't going to do anything for you unless Duke, is a top 10 team at the end of the year, or USC. You have a chance there. Again at Clemson, we'll see what they are at the end of the year, but you know, this is going to be your best one of your best wins all year if you get it. And if you don't, the path is tougher because Notre Dame's independent and you have tougher games ahead of you. So yeah, I think for the narratives, the answer is definitely Ohio State. But for like actual CFP contention, Notre Dame's got to have this one. Got to have it, especially for it being a home game.
I'll say this: I think a one-loss Notre Dame. Let's say Notre Dame loses to Ohio State and runs the table. I kind of consider that an automatic in, uh, considering they would have beaten USC, they would have beaten Clemson on the road, uh, and not only that. Let's be honest: you got the interlocking ND. That convinces a lot of folks. That convinces people at the end of the day, and it shouldn't. But people start seeing those golden helmets. You start seeing dollar signs. You're just not going to see a one-loss Notre Dame whose only loss was to a highly ranked Ohio State team. I don't know. They have ways to make it up,
For sure.
and you don't got to play Florida State or Clemson in the championship, or UNC, or Duke, or whoever. That is a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I think either way, like both teams would be able to like make it up if they were like if they were to lose this game, but. Yeah, this is such an interesting game for that reason. These are two legitimate CFP contenders. All right, Lexi, since you hate both of these teams, I'll let you pick which team you want to give keys to victory for.
Okay, well, I'll just give key victories to Ohio State. It's at this point Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trayvon Henderson. You just got to just pump that ball in the air, on the ground. Fight through the depth in the trenches against Notre Dame. And Kyle McCord goes off. I think that's going to be the biggest thing. Those two key players, and I would also say too, Denzel Burke just preventing Sam Hartman for having a game. That you got a stout defense, one of the top in the nation, and then also a top offense. And the same can be said about Notre Dame. So it's going to be just really for Ohio State to be on all their P's and Q's, playing to their best ability to beat Notre Dame in South Bend.
keys to victory for Notre Dame, Bobby?
Notre Dame have to absolutely rattle the hell out of Kyle McCord. He's a freshman. If you make him look like a freshman, I think the Irish win this thing. You got to, which I think that's probably what's going to happen. We'll get to predictions in a moment, but I am just so kind of positive that I don't think a freshman can go into Notre Dame Stadium and pull it off. If I'm wrong, then McCord's the real deal, but we haven't seen much of it to convince me otherwise, frankly.
Yeah, McCord's numbers look really good. You got to give him credit for that. The opponents haven't been sexy, but the numbers are nice. And yeah, I mean, it would be impressive for him to go into Notre Dame and win the game. Yeah, predictions. I think Notre Dame wins this game. Like Sam Hartman and the experience and maybe even talent gap between Sam Hartman and Kyle McCord is like huge, and we know how much quarterbacks matter in these matchups. We saw, how important, we see how important that is in so many of these games, and so I think at home with an experienced quarterback, you know what's on the line. Um, you have a defensive coach and a physical Notre Dame team that can pressure the hell out of a quarterback like Kyle McCord. I think they're going to have to keep Ohio State from the explosive plays because that's what's going to give them their confidence. But if you can do that, I don't see why Notre Dame doesn't win this game.
I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. It's a game of boys and men. And Kyle McCord, he's a freshman. I think he's not ready for the moment. But you know who is? Sam Hartman, the guy looking like Arthur Morgan with the full beard out here ready, hopefully doesn't have tuberculosis if you get the reference. But no, I think he brings something to Notre Dame that we have not seen in a really long time, which is a good seasoned quarterback. That is a scary thought process. I don't like the idea of Notre Dame being good with a good quarterback, but Hartman is that guy. I'm a believer. I'm putting my stock in Sam Hartman to get the massive home win for the Irish.
Bobby, you just reminded me. I need to. I'm looking. Well, Spider-Man is coming out next month, so I may be delayed. But at some point, I will do it'll be my third or fourth playthrough of Red Dead Redemption 2. So that's coming down the pipeline. But
I would apologize.
Yeah.
I would apologize for spoiling Red Dead 2, but that game's been out for like 5 years at this point, so should have played it by now.
Yeah. Lexi, who you got winning this game?
So, either way, it's like to me, but I definitely think that Ohio State takes this. If Notre Dame somehow upsets them, I think it's like a win-win for me because either team loses, it makes me happy. But I think I would like, I think Ohio State's going to end up winning this. There's just a lot of talent there, but we'll see.
I'm curious, Lexi, like, I don't know how much you're tapped in to like Ohio State Twitter. I know that I avoid following or sometimes the algorithm just gives them to you, but like
probably because you started interacting with me and
well no. I mean like I don't follow a lot of fans of other teams or like my rivals on purpose, but like I know sometimes the algorithm just gives you random stuff like no matter what you do. So I don't know how tapped in you are to like OSU Twitter. But if you are tapped in, okay, what are the vibes like? Like, are they nervous? Are they excited? Do they just think they're going to beat anybody in front of them? Like, what are the vibes like ahead of this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they've kind of had their, I should say, confidence stricken down a little bit over the years by, losing to Michigan, but they're still cocky as ever. They think that there's no problem. They're going in Notre Dame for a night game and facing Sam Hartman. So, before the season, I was like, yeah, that's probably going to happen, but then we saw how Notre Dame is, and I'm like, this could be an upset now, but they're still just as confident as ever. You got some of them that are throwing away the season thinking Ryan Day can't do shit. So that's it's hilarious. I'm just back here, my popcorn, just enjoying all of it happen. But no, they're all pretty confident going into that game. So we'll see how it comes like Sunday morning.
That's funny. That's funny. Okay. Yeah, I only follow like one Ohio State guy. I think he's like I don't know if he's like a journalist or not. I can't remember. He does something media related, but like I started following him this year, and like his tweets are like way too like fanboy for me, and like almost delusional fan, like bordering. And I was just like, yeah, I gotta mute you because like this is I can't like you gotta let's be realistic. Like I don't know, it's funny, but anyway, all right, that should be interesting. All right, we got two more games to talk about, and they're in the NFL. Um, this might be the only time we talk about two teams that have not won a game yet as one of the biggest games of the weekend. But this is a big game because we know the statistics of a 0-3 team making the playoffs are low. And these are two teams that, us and most people thought would be playoff teams in the Chargers and the Vikings. So the Chargers have to go up to Minnesota to play the Vikings. Both teams are 0-2. Both teams have suffered some pretty, you know, gut wrenching, close losses. The Vikings are favored by a point, so it's pretty much a pick 'em. Over under 54. Um, but let's talk about the Chargers because the blame game has certainly gone around for the Chargers' struggles. Some people are putting the blame on Brandon Staley, saying he should be on the hot seat, he should be fired first. Some people blame the defense. Some people blame Justin Herbert. Um, where do you guys put the blame on the Chargers' struggles so far?
I just feel like their performances, like in crunch moments, they fall short. When they should be winning a game, they give it up, and to me, that leads back to leadership and coaching. You got to have your guys ready. I know these are grown men, but you got to have your guys ready in those moments to win those games. And it's been pretty concerning to watch how many times they've just fallen through the cracks when they had the game on the line in their hands to win it and just give it up. So I think that leads back to leadership for me. So Staley's definitely to be looked at.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Just look at the scoring after halftime. Everything just kind of completely just fizzles out because they're not making the right adjustments or they're making the wrong adjustments. It's just not working. And to me, that falls back on coaching.
Yeah, clean sweep. I think Brandon Staley is probably one of the worst coaches in the NFL, and for two main reasons. One, he's a defensive coach, and the Chargers' defense is bad. So it's a big red flag whenever you have a coach that specializes in something, and you have now a 3-year sample size of that side of the ball not being good. A defensive coach should be able to put together a good defense, at least. An offensive coach should have a great offense, at least, right? So, like, the fact that he's been there and the Chargers defense still isn't good, like, that says a lot about your ability as a coach because your side of the ball isn't even right. And on top of that, situationally, they just don't look like they're put together. They have a plan. Um, I was watching the Chargers Titans game, obviously, getting Chargers and Rams game out here in LA, and there was like one, third down that like they didn't even the offense came on the field and like the Chargers didn't even look like they knew what they were doing. Like there were people like running all over the place. It looked disorganized, and that's one play, but it's a microcosm of the issue I think with that team. I think they're really poorly coached. I think a quarterback like Justin Herbert would be able to, you know, obviously excel with better coaching, and even excel with lesser talent. But I think there's only so much you can do when you don't have a coach that can situationally, uh, do what they need to do to make sure they win games, and also can't give you a better defense as well. So I think Brandon Staley. I think Brandon Staley's numbers. I mean, Brandon Staley's days are numbered in LA.
Sure.
All right. So by the end of this game, one of these teams are going to go 0-3. We know that. But still very good teams with talent. So I'll throw this out there: can either team still make the playoffs if they lose this upcoming week?
So I was looking at both schedules, and I'm being honest, both teams would still have a shot. The NFC North is wide open. Love my Lions, but Jesus Christ. And then same thing with the AFC West, though. I mean, the Chiefs obviously will probably come out on top of that, but both of their schedules are not incredibly difficult, playing extremely talented, in my opinion, teams that are automatic losses. So, but if I'd say anything, I'm gonna go with the Vikings, just because playing the Bears twice. Packers are just still uncertain, and then same thing with the Lions. It's up in the air fully across the board in that. So I'll go with the Vikings, if any.
Yeah, I mean, I have a tendency to think no, that the loser will miss the playoffs. 0-3 is a really hard thing to just overcome. That being said, if it is the Vikings, I feel like they would have a better chance of overcoming it because of their division, which, as Lexi noted, is pretty wide open outside of, I would say, outside of Detroit. That last game was just some weird, if Detroit can overcome, just the whole Detroitness of it all, they'll be fine. I don't know if they can, but hopefully we'll see. Hopefully the new Barry Sanders statue fixes everything. But I'm going to go ahead and just say no.
Yeah, I'll go with the Chargers, and for me, it's because um, we have a 17 game schedule now in the NFL, or 17 game regular season. So to me, like, being 0-3 isn't as bad as it used to be. Like, 0-3 is the new 0-2. Like, it's bad, but you can still overcome it because we're looking at 17 games as opposed to 16. The Chargers, the Broncos are also 0-2. The Raiders are going to be bad, I still think. So for me, I'll take the more talented quarterback, the more talented team over the Vikings, I think, who, just don't have it, it seems like. But yeah, if the Chargers go 0-3, I think they still have a chance to make it just because of the talent on their team. And I think that if they get rid of Brandon Staley, I really feel like Kellen Moore, I'm not going to say like he's a bona fide like great head coach or anything, but I think him taking over that offense, which has improved since he's been there, and being the head coach, um, is going to empower Justin Herbert a little bit more than we've seen with Brendan Staley, which has not been bad, but I could see the Chargers doing a lot better, sort of addition by subtraction, by getting rid of Staley, if they continue to not perform well. So I'm gonna say the Chargers can make the playoffs if they happen to start 0-3. All right. Keys to victory for Kirk Cousins and the Vikings, Lexi.
I think it's just gonna be Justin Jefferson. You gotta get him the ball. He's gonna win you the game. Plain and simple. That's just what it is. The Kirk Cousins to Justin Jefferson connection needs to be on par for them to win.
Yeah, I'm looking at them now. I don't know if Justin Jefferson has a touchdown yet. I know we got like a ton of yards in week 1, but I don't know. I don't know if he's seen the end zone yet. He hasn't, and
So he's due.
He
He's
had,
He
too
almost
he had,
got one. He
yeah.
almost
I was
got one
gonna
and he
say,
fumbled into the end zone.
yeah. I was gonna say that was a crazy play where he almost got one, but yeah, you gotta get Jay Jettas in the end zone for sure this weekend. All right, for the Chargers, how do they not charger this up and lose another game, Bobby?
Well, it all comes down to quarterback play to me, and the offensive line protected those quarterbacks. And to me, I feel like Justin Herbert is, even though he doesn't have the same weapons, obviously, it comes down to him stepping up and having an absolutely stellar performance. We've seen that, the Vikings just have not been very consistent. They just haven't been that great this year. And I think overall, the Chargers can be more cohesive, and that starts with Herbert playing a just stellar game.
Yeah, Justin Herbert's going to be key. The defense is going to have to get some stops for the Chargers. Predictions wise, I think we all are clean sweep here with having the Chargers to win this game, which would be devastating for uh, those home fans in Minnesota. But I think yeah. Lexi, go ahead.
Oh no, I wasn't.
Oh, yeah, yeah, you're gonna do it. No, more talent on the Chargers. I think it's easy to kind of see them winning the game, but the winning close games has been an issue for both of these teams. So it's like the perfect matchup. Like very similar issues. Both need this win badly. Should be interesting. Should be an interesting game. All right, our last game we're gonna dive into is Eagles at Buccaneers. Eagles are favored by 5 in Tampa. For 45.5 is the over under. It's a Monday night game. Uh, and we got some Baker buzz that Bobby sent in the group chat earlier today. So Bobby, why don't you kick us off, man? Are you buying or selling the good Baker we've seen in the last 2 weeks in Tampa?
Look, to quote the great NSYNC, buy, buy, buy. I am all in on Baker Mayfield. I was already in before, but this time, look, the old saying is even a broken clock is right, once a day. And that's me. I was wrong about the Panthers. I don't think I was wrong about him on the Rams, but I think everything about the Bucks is just right. The system is just perfect for him. He seems to be really shining as a leader. It seems like they've accepted him properly. He's accepted them. Him and Mike Evans have just had an excellent connection. It feels right. It feels right in ways that it didn't feel right in Cleveland at times, and in ways that it obviously didn't feel right in Carolina. So I feel like for me, Baker's turned the corner. He stared into the abyss of his career being over, and what stared back at him were just constant autograph sessions in Norman, Oklahoma, and he decided, you know what, I'm going to stand up, rise back up, and get a couple more years of the NFL left in me, and he has just been pretty stellar. So I'm buying Baker. I think he's found a home finally.
I'm right there with you, Bobby. Ever since he planted the flag in Ohio Stadium, he's had my heart. It's like I wanted this guy to win and be in the good situation. Like he's a hell of a player. He brings a lot to the table, but you're right. He's never been in the right situation. And I'm gonna admit it. This is a great situation for him, and I love seeing him. I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna buy it all day long because I've wanted him to succeed ever since he came into the NFL. So give me Baker, baby.
So I'm selling Baker, but for like a couple more weeks. If he continues like this play into week 4, then I think I'll definitely be like, yeah, this is probably like who he is this year with his team. Like Bobby mentioned, he's kind of revitalized Mike Evans. Everyone looks really good around him. This offense is clicking with him. So yeah, I shouldn't say sell. I'll say hold. I'm on hold with him for just a couple more weeks just to see. I need a bigger sample size, but I don't disagree with anyone buying him. I think obviously he's always been talented. He's always been able to pick up offenses quickly, and we've seen he's done that in Tampa. So yeah, I'm on hold for a couple more weeks, but I'm definitely warming up on him for sure. Now the Eagles played two close games. Tough one against the Patriots week one, and then the Vikings. Um, Jalen Hurts looks fine, but the defense doesn't look nearly as dominant. Um, and even offensively, like it's been a little bit shaky, not perfect, not terrible either, but just not where we kind of saw left off last year. Do you guys have any concerns about the Philadelphia Eagles?
I personally don't. I know that Hertz has not been his typical self going crazy in the air these last few games, but like they just haven't had the need to do it. Their defense has been stellar so far this season. The offense will pick up more as it goes along, but their run game's really good. So it's those factors. So I think people have been worried and said that Hurts is taking a step back, but I don't think so. I mean, if you have a team good enough that your star quarterback who threw over 3,000 passing yards last year, and you guys are still 2-0 with him not going off, I wouldn't be concerned, and I'm not. So if it continues to happen, maybe throughout the year, but they're going to start picking up. It'll happen. They're the Super Bowl, runner up. Still a very talented team, so no worries here.
Yeah, any panic is premature. They're still 2-0. I'm not concerned about them. They look a little lackadaisical, but I think they'll sort it out. I'm not concerned at all.
So I am a little concerned, and it's a little concern only because Super Bowl hangover is a real thing. Argue with your mama, I think it is. But besides that, Mac Jones looked great against them. Kirk Cousins, who was notoriously terrible in prime time, looked amazing against them, even though the Vikings lost the game. Look at the numbers with Kirk and Mac. Like they both looked really good against the Eagles defense. So I'm more concerned about the defense than anything. And when I say concerned, I don't mean they're not going to win a lot of games because I think they probably still will win a good amount. Even though preseason I said they would go under, and I still believe that. I think they still win games, but in terms of their status as a Super Bowl contender, I think that's in jeopardy based on what we've seen so far. Just because that defense has been a little shaky, and when they play better offenses, down the stretch, that might be an issue. So far, you haven't really played any offensive juggernauts. The Buccaneers certainly won't be. But if Baker looks like a superhero, and again, I know he's been playing well in the past 2 weeks, but if Baker looks like a superhero on Monday night against this Eagles defense, people are going to have questions about this Eagles defense. That's going to be 3 average quarterbacks in a row where they've looked phenomenal, against the Eagles defense. So defensively, Philadelphia, I'm concerned about this team, but on the other side, I think they'll figure it out. But we'll see. All right, we're going to skip Keys to Victory and get to predictions. I got the Bucks covering the spread. I think it could be another close game. I think the Buccaneers at home, especially with that defense, very prideful defense, Todd Bowles, I think is going to be able to come up with something to put a lot of pressure on Jalen Hurts. Maybe make this a lower scoring game, but 5 is a little bit too many points for me. I'm going to take the Buccaneers to cover, but I do think the Eagles win.
Some Monday Night Football games aren't worth getting up for, and you just turn it on because it's football. This one's not going to be that case. This is appointment television. I'm thrilled about it. I think it'll be great. And I'll say this. NFL teams playing in September on the road in Florida, never that good. Uh, so, look, I think this game will be a dogfight. Obviously, I've talked about Baker a lot, but very excited to see Jalen as well. Two OU quarterbacks, great stuff. I got Tampa keeping this thing close. So give me the Bucks +5.
Who do you think wins the game?
I'm gonna give it. Like, you asking me to pick between my two kids, man. I don't know which one. But look,
Pick a favorite,
Hey,
Bob.
hey, hold on. You don't even have real kids yet, and if Deion Sanders can rank his kids every week, I know you can pick this game.
Yeah, no. I'm kidding. You know what? Baker Mayfield always has magic in these moments. You know what? His best moments are on national TV, and when against all odds. So I'm gonna go with the Bucks. Baker's first game ever. That random Thursday night against the Jets. Then he came on last year on like one day of being on a team and beat the Raiders. So you know what? Let's have everyone know loud and clear that Tampa Bay and Baker Mayfield, they're for real. Monday Night Football, make a statement. I don't know if you can plant your own flag at midfield, but their logo is a flag. So, maybe Baker runs around with a flag after the game. I don't know.
That would be pretty epic. I love the story. I love me some Baker, but the Eagles are gonna take this. They probably could cover, but no, I'm gonna take the Eagles in this win.
All right. So we introduced a new segment last week called Rapid Fire Picks, and I did it for weeks like this because we have so many good games, and obviously football fans watching, you want us to talk about some of your favorite teams, and we just don't have enough time to do it. So Rapid Fire Picks is back, and we got a few more games to pick. Again, for those of you who missed the rules of this last week, we're just picking like straight up, no spreads or anything like that. Just quick like picks, and we're gonna add a little spice to the show. Talk about more games this way, and lots of good games to talk about. All right, so rapid fire picks. Before we get to lock of the week, the first one is Ole Miss at Alabama. Two ranked teams. Alabama obviously on the slide. They're going back to Jalen Milroe after the offense that was non-existent at USF, which was a new low for Alabama football, I think, to watch the game, even though they won. But Alabama hosting Ole Miss. I'm taking Ole Miss. I think, like, as hard as it is to say that Alabama is going to lose two games in September, let alone in a season, like, that sounds like blasphemy. But even with Jalen Milroe, I think Lane Kiffin is going to be able to come up with an offense or offensive game plan, I should say, that's just going to outpace what Alabama's going to be able to do, because Jalen Milroe is the best option they have, but that offense still looks putrid with a minute. And the Ole Miss has Jackson Dart. I like what they're going to do over there. It's going to be a tough game because it's in Tuscaloosa, but I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm going to go out on a limb here and take Ole Miss.
I got Ole Miss too.
Alabama's offense is a total disaster, and you know what? Who's across the sidelines there? Pete Golding, Alabama's old defensive coordinator, who saw nothing but abuse from Alabama Crimson Tide fans. You cannot tell me this man is not licking his chops at putting together a defensive game plan to get back at Saban and all of those Paul Feinbaum show callers. Give me Ole Miss.
All right. Florida State at Alabama. Florida State at Clemson is the next game. I'm taking Florida State. People are saying like the Clemson offense looks better, but the opponents I think probably are you would hope they look better against those opponents. Florida State is a tougher team. We saw how they were able to get after Jalen Daniels, and Jalen Daniels is a mobile quarterback. Clay Kublik obviously is not, as mobile as Jalen Daniels, and I get that Florida State almost lost to Boston College. I was really going to lose to Boston College, but I think that serves as a wake up call. And as tough as it is to win in Death Valley, with a healthy Jordan Travis, I just don't see how the Clemson offense stacks up. And so I have the Seminoles beating Clemson.
Yeah, I got Florida State for sure.
Look, any situation where you almost lose to Boston College is not good, except for one scenario, and that's when Boston College is hosting their red bandana game, where they honor the legendary story that went on September 11th. Definitely read into that. So yeah, Florida State almost lost that one, but you know what? They got a wake up call, and I think they bounce back, get a pretty solid win at Clemson. Clemson is a better team than what we saw against Duke, but Florida State is just, I think, on a different level in the ACC this year.
All right. UCLA, Utah, big Pac-12 matchup. Probably the second biggest of the day. Lots of big matches in Pac-12, but UCLA will go to Utah. I think Cam Rising, the status is still up in the air. I haven't really seen anything that's saying whether he'll play or not. This is tough for me. The Utes have been able to figure it out without him, but UCLA is a really good team. So I'm going to cautiously pick Utah because I feel like they're going to figure out a way to get Cam out there. If he doesn't play, it's going to be tough for them to win. But UCLA on the road, I don't know if I trust with a young quarterback. So give me Utah. Reluctantly, Utah.
Yeah, I like Utah in this, especially at home. So.
Yeah, I think Rising comes back and Utah gets a really big win in their little ass stadium.
All right. All right. To the NFL, rapid fire, Giants at 49ers. I like the Niners here. The Giants pulled out a big win in Arizona, but I think San Francisco curb stomps getting dimes in the Giants, especially without Saquon. No Saquon.
Well, the 49ers are just like unstoppable right now. They look so good. So yeah, there's no hope. Sadly, the Niners got this in the bag.
Yeah, get this game out of my slate. It's the Niners all the way. The Giants defense is an embarrassment. Niners all the way.
All right. Bills at Commanders. The streets are saying Sam Howell is the best quarterback in his draft class. Who would have guessed that? But yeah, 2-0 Commanders hosting the Buffalo Bills. Who you guys got? I'm thinking the Bills. Commanders are playing really well. I love Sam Howell. But I think the Bills are just probably the more talented team overall. Interesting to see, though, because I know the Commanders will be able to get a lot of pressure on the Bills and Josh Allen, but it's probably a close slug fight type game. But I like the Bills to go into D.C. and win.
Yeah, I got the Bills. Josh Allen, had a little slow start there in the beginning, but he's getting things together. And like I said, there's a lot of talent on that team. They got it.
Honeymoon's over. Bills take out the Washington Commanders.
Patriots at Jets is our last rapid fire game. Obviously, the Jets have been down bad, but the Patriots are 0-2. So this is like the Patriots going 0-3 would be insane in the Bill Belichick era. But, playing at the Jets, both offenses are kind of bad. Who do you think wins the game? Oh, sorry. I got to pick first. I'm taking the Patriots. The Patriot. If the Patriots lose this game, the jokes will fly. But I can't imagine Bill Belichick going 0-3. That would be crazy.
Yeah, Bill is going to do whatever in his power to not go 0-3. I got the Patriots.
JETSBIGL. Give me the Pats.
All right. All right. Now the segment everyone loves, Lock of the Week. Last week, I chose Washington straight up. Obviously, they won. Bobby had Jacksonville +3. Very brave Lock of the Week, I must say, but you paid for it with an L.
Didn't work out. It looked good for a little bit. I think that's the problem. Is I started seeing, it's like, oh, Jacksonville, look at him go, and then well.
Lexi had UNC, which was not a gimme by any means, but they did win. So now the scoreboard finally has points on it. Me and Lexi and I are tied at 2. Bobby still at 0. So a lot of football left to go, but let's talk about our new locks. I already spoiled mine at the beginning of the show, so I won't rehash my reasoning, but I'm taking Colorado +21. I think Coach Prime coaches his Buffs to cover the big spread there in Autzen this weekend.
Yeah, so I got I'm gonna take the Chargers in this. It's a lot of these games, and I want those 2 points. It's just there's nothing that sticks out to me to being a true lock, but I like the Chargers and it's a pick 'em. So yeah, give me the Chargers straight up.
Look, I mentally have flirted with Bucks +5, but I have to get back on the right track. And the right track, in my opinion, is by fading the Vikings all the way to Valhalla. So give me the Chargers +1. I'm so out on the Vikes. I'm done with them.
Yeah,
all right.
We said they were fraudulent last year, and it's only coming to fruition that we were right all along. So.
Well, it's no, that about me. Sorry.
Look, the second the Vikings started stinking was when Max stopped talking about them. So
yeah,
stop talking about them every week, and now they're not good. So there you go.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Okay. Yeah. So those are the locks. I feel nervous for you guys because I feel like betting on the Chargers is a risky thing to do, but this is why we do it because it's so fun. All right, so Lexi's got the Chargers to win straight up. Bobby has the Chargers +1, and I've got Colorado +21. Those are
change it to straight up. I don't want to go weak by adding a point. I feel bad now. I didn't realize you went straight up. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna be like, oh, also the Chargers, but I would like 1 point. No.
Oh God.
So I was like, I'm just gonna take them straight up.
I'm just reading what I had on my sheet.
That's so
wasn't
funny.
Even thinking about that. No. Hell no.
That's so funny.
Okay. All right. Sorry. All right. Okay. Whoa. We're back. All right. Lexi and Bobby are taking the Chargers as their locks to win straight up. I'm taking Colorado +21. We'll see how it goes next week. That's our show. This was a fun one. For a fun week of college football. Don't forget to like and subscribe and check out the other stuff on the Multiplicity Media channel. Lots of good stuff to watch and listen to. We'll see you next week right back here at the Weekenders. Peace.
Bye.